Hey guys, we're back on the shop today. It's 11 o'clock in the evening on a Monday, and we've pulled off the cylinder head. It's nasty down there. We can take a look. This one, I don't know, Vaughn, do you think it was harder than the first one? Or?
I mean, we had some issues with those heater hoses, just really clearance getting the head off, but just the typical putting up a fight with rusted head studs.
And the exhaust manifold as well, right?
Yes.
Well, not the exhaust manifold, but the downpipe to the main exhaust.
Just rusty exhaust hardware.
Yeah. So, but it's off. Again, the head gasket looked pretty intact. I mean, it didn't look like there was any break in the firewall, but clearly, I mean, it had coolant in the system. We're a little bit concerned about the block, given that if there was no damage to the head gasket, then it may have, warped the head. It may have done something to the block. We don't know. So I'm going to get some second opinions from people, see what they think about what we should do to the block. We may end up tearing the block down and sending it to the machine shop as well. Not something I wanted to do because obviously it blows up the expenses, but it's not something I want to do twice either. So we'll see what's going on with that. All right, Vaughn. What do you think is going on?
So we definitely had a head gasket failure on both sides. If you look down here, you can see I've cleaned it up again with some oil, but we sucked out all the coolant that spilled in the cylinders from removing the head, but you can see where we had traces of rusty water sitting in here for the few days it took us to tear it down from when the incident actually happened. Again, like Al said, we don't see any obvious head gasket failure, but it's likely that the heads are warped, and because this is an aluminum block, it might also be warped. We haven't rotated the engine to look down the cylinders of the pistons that are closer to the top dead center, but we're going to do that. I guess have the heads checked out professionally.
Yeah.
If they're hopefully salvageable and how much material is going to need to be taken off.
Yeah, and there's a cylinder on the other side that we pointed out yesterday that makes me a little bit worried about the sleeve.
Yeah, it looks like the ring might have broken, or it possibly hydrolocked and broke the ring from the leaking head gasket.
Yeah,
we're not sure yet.
Yeah,
it's not deep enough gouges for your finger to really catch on, but it has pretty much erased the cross hatching, and you can see vertical scratches. So.
Right.
But what they find with the heads will determine, I guess, what we need to do next, and what we're in for, at least on the top end, before we even get to the bottom end.
Right. So I don't know. One of the questions that I have in my mind is, assuming that this block is toast, right, and it may well be. I want to know if the earlier SY blocks are the same block. I'm talking about the block in this car, and I know that the heads would be different because it's a fuel injected versus a carbureted car. But I'm wondering if the blocks are the same. And the blocks, the piston, the crank, the water pump, all that good stuff. If it is, then I'd like to use the block from that fire damaged car over there, because the engine in that car pre-accident, pre-damage was in good shape, and the fire is only external. There was still coolant in that engine. The coolant was in good shape, so I don't believe that, even though the car was on fire, I don't believe that the heat was that bad. So that's a question for you Rolls Royce guys, if you know. I would be interested in hearing back from you. Let me show you the heads real quickly. So this is the head that we pulled off. Let's take a look. That valve looks pretty clean, so maybe that's the one that...
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
We haven't cleaned anything off. There's still head gasket material on them.
Yeah.
So I mean, nothing standing out obvious. So we're just gonna check them for straightness, and
Yeah. We'll get the machine shop to do a, magnaflux it and see if they can find any cracks. That would be what I'm most concerned about on the heads, is if it's been cracked. The gasket itself, again, I mean, no damage to the firewall from what I can see.
No obvious blowouts. I'm sure if we were to clean it really well, we would be able to tell where coolant seeped through. We were seeing traces down at the bottom, so it could have gone between coolant passage here and the fire ring, but we haven't looked that closely at it, honestly.
Yeah.
Possibly there.
Yeah.
But I mean,
hard to tell.
What we're working with.
Yeah. So everything's apart. We've probably going to have the lift tied up for a couple of weeks now, which kind of sucks, because we really do need a lift, at least one working lift, and now we have 2 down lifts. But alas, it is what it is. When if we end up having to send the block out, then we're going to have to drop it by the subframe and take it all apart. Yeah, open that can of worms, exactly. All right, guys. So as far as this is concerned, we're going to probably send the heads off in the next couple of days and wait to get feedback. I'm going to send some of these pictures that I took off the cylinder. Maybe you can see it over here, but let me take a look. So yeah, can you see that over here? Just that line? This is what's got us concerned. There's some score marking that, I mean, you can't feel it, but you can kind of see it, especially if you take a picture and kind of zoom into it. You'll get a really good look at it. But that's got us really concerned about the block and whether we need to do anything. I mean, if we need to pull apart the block, then I'd rather just send it to the machine shop and have them take it all apart and put new liners in. I'll just order the liners from the UK. Obviously it's going to turn this job into a monstrosity of a job, but it is what it is, and maybe it'll motivate me to fix the rest of the car. But I expect that it'll be a few days before I can get back and provide an update on this car, just because of the level of work that's involved. But that's it. There you have it. So we'll find out what happens with the heads, and we'll find out what happens with the block, and we'll give you an update. Thank you very much.